Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie Urchick, and I am President nominee for Rotary International. I'll be serving as president in Rotary year 2024-2025. My background is in higher education and consulting and training and the entertainment industries. We've made some inroads, and certainly there are more and more women showing up in leadership, but we still have room to do better. One of the things that I encourage all Rotarians to do, because we're all in leadership positions from time to time, whether you have an office or not. You might be an officer in a club or you might be leading a project, but we all have leadership roles. I think it's important for us to encourage women as well as other underrepresented groups to step up to leadership, to not be afraid of it, to go ahead and make that move to become a club officer. And then once we're in the club, look outside the club, look at what's happening in the district. And then once you've done that, look at what's happening in the zone. Don't be afraid of stepping up to leadership and taking on those responsibilities. So that's our role as Rotarian leaders, is to help and encourage women to make those moves and to do that. If somebody encouraged me to take a look at becoming a district governor, and so I make sure that I do that for other women who have that potential, and I want to encourage them to do that. One of the worst things we could do is not support each other as we move through all of these experiences. So we've had an opportunity to become stronger in our career or stronger in our family or stronger in our Rotary life, then I think we have an obligation to share that with others who come behind us. I'll again take Rotary as an example. I love Rotary, but I'm not going to be here forever, which is why it's so important for me to encourage younger people who are coming up to this magic of this organization that we have, and encourage them to look at leadership and to look at opportunities, because I don't want the legacy of Rotary to stop once I'm not here. And that's the same way I felt about my profession when I was in a professional career. I was always encouraging people who were in higher education, to look for other opportunities within the university and step up and lead things and, take charge, because it's what will propel you into those kinds of leadership opportunities that you're looking for. One of my personal mantras ever since I've been a young woman has been, life is always more exciting on the other side of a yes. Just say yes and then figure it out. I think about all the incredible experiences that I've had, as both in my professional life and in my Rotary life. And a lot of times I've said yes and then stepped back and said, okay, now how am I going to get there? How am I going to figure that out? But I think we have to just encourage people to realize that the opportunity is going to present itself. Don't shut the door on it. Just say yes to it and then figure out how to do it. We all bring our own skill set to every leadership experience we have, and nobody does it the same way. One of the things that's true about every leader is that we lead with our strong skills, and where we're not as strong, that's where we find some help along the way to get people to come in and help support what we're doing. So young professionals shouldn't be afraid of these opportunities that seem so big. Really step up to it, say yes, and then figure out how you're going to get it done. Everybody comes up with lists of tools that you need to be an effective leader. And, some of the lists are, a dozen, and some are 10, or some are the top five. But, there's one that shows up on every single list there is, because it's so critical, and that's communication. To be an effective leader, you really have to get to know how to communicate effectively. And that doesn't just mean with subordinates or people that you work with. It means the people above you. It means the people who benefit by your service. It means everybody. Everybody has got to be in your communication loop in some way, shape, or form. So to me, that's the most critical piece of being a leader is developing your communication tools. And we have a lot of ways to do that. Certainly, stepping up to leadership is one of them because, as a Rotary leader, you've got to stand up and you've got to, communicate with people. But we have also, lots of other resources. Our learning center is amazing, absolutely critically amazing. Yet I'm astounded when I hear how few Rotarians use what's in the learning center. There are such amazing tools there. The one that comes to mind is the co-branded product that Toastmasters and Rotary worked on together, to help people develop communication skills, public speaking skills, and effective leadership. So, I think, there are experiences and then there are actual resources that people can use to develop the leadership skill of communicating effectively. And the other thing about communicating is that it gives you an opportunity to invite people to present their ideas. So part of communication is listening. It's one of those forgotten skills. People can hear you, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're listening. So, listening is critical to being an effective communicator as well. When you ask people for their opinion, they feel like they've been heard. And that way, when you do present information or you do have a plan and you do want to move as a leader, you're going to have a better chance of getting people jump on the bandwagon because they feel that ownership. Well, the fact that work has changed is really a good thing because life changes. Look at Rotary as an example. For 110 of our 118 years, we kept doing things the same way and we kept wondering, why are we growing? Well, the world changes, okay? And so the work environment is changing too. So what that's doing is it's presenting opportunities for people to try things differently. When I go around the world and talk with my aide, Tom Gump, about culture and transformation, there's a story I always tell. When I was a young woman, I used to go out disco dancing and I would wear these platform shoes that were 8 inches high. And my father would grab me on the shoulder and he'd say, "Where are you going with those shoes on? You're going to kill yourself." And I'd say, "Dad, don't worry. We all know how to walk in them and we all know how to dance in them because that's the way we do it." And I tell that story because I'm reminded that the way that I do Rotary is not necessarily the way that young professionals are going to do Rotary or Rotaractors are going to do Rotary. And my job as a leader is to simply make sure that the core values of Rotary are intact, but then let them go and let them do it the way they want to do it because we move through these eras differently. And yes, the work world has changed, and there are going to be things about it that to me, a baby boomer, are going to seem really weird, but to a young professional, it's going to be opportunity and it's going to be a creative way to do something differently. So, the message is that yes, the work world is changing, but there are lessons in there that we can learn, and it'll make us, hopefully, it'll make us stronger and better as we keep moving forward. So it's really important for us to take that whole concept of balance and figure out how that works for you. It's not the same for everybody. People often say to me, how did you work and become district governor? How did that happen? Why how can you do that? And I said, well, I not only held a full-time job, my mother became ill and she didn't drive, so I was the chauffeur. I was in a doctoral program working on my doctorate degree, and the president of the university I worked for wanted me to open another center in addition to the one I ran. So people said, how did you do that all? And I said, well, life is about choices. You look at what's on your plate and you decide what the priorities are. And I say, if the Board of Health had come to my home that year, they would have shut me down because I didn't clean the entire year. And it just wasn't important. So you figure things out. And balance is really important. And the way people get balance is different. You'll know what it is for you. I'm very fond right now of 24-hour no technology days. There are days when I will turn my phone off, I will turn my computer off, and I just do not look at anything. Now, it creates chaos the day after when I turn everything back on. But for that 24 hours, it really gives me a peaceful feeling and I can really focus on other things. Sometimes I read, sometimes I go walking, sometimes I, experiment with cooking in the kitchen or whatever. But I do that for me because it's a way to center myself. Because if you let all of this other stuff take over your life, it really, yeah, it can burn you out. I have a regular email, I have a Rotary email, I have 4 WhatsApp threads, I have Facebook, I have TikTok, I have Instagram. I mean, I have so much stuff I have to look at that, if I didn't take that break, it really would work on me. So everybody figures it out or should figure it out. The people that don't figure it out are the ones I think that end up suffering from, depression or burnout or whatever. And those are real feelings, real feelings. But I also say to people, you have to heal it to feel it to heal it. So if you're feeling that you're burned out, you got to stop for a minute and you got to say, what does it feel like? Why doesn't it feel good? What are the things that I need to do to make myself feel good again? So it's different for everybody. I was just that kind of person who was always ready if somebody would say, okay, we need somebody to do, okay, my hands up in the air. I remember when I first joined Rotary, I went to my first Rotary Club meeting and I sat and I listened, and I went to a second meeting. But by the fourth meeting, I was doing the newsletter. And then a year and a half later, I was club president because that's just in my nature to always look and say, okay, here's an opportunity. Let me grab onto it. I served as the chair of Rotary's Strategic Planning Committee. And from the beginning, I was involved in that process of looking at our future and gathering information and asking everybody about, what we thought the future of Rotary should be, what should be included. So as I continued to work with that and I saw the strides that we were making at the corporate level, I realized that if we really did want to have a thriving future, we needed to get that information into the club level. And that's why, after being a director, I said, okay, I think I really need to do this because somebody with this background would be the right leader for the right time because we need to move into that thriving future. We couldn't do Rotary the way we wanted to 2.5 years ago when the pandemic hit. All right. But we learned lessons from that. I mean, look at us here. Okay. We're connected in Pennsylvania and Illinois. This is great. There's a role for virtual platforms and other connectivity, but it doesn't take the place of face to face and never will. I love going places and meeting my family of Rotary. You may know that, I don't have a spouse, I don't have children, I don't have grandchildren. So when I do presentations, I say family of Rotary. I mean that because the people who are, in my family of Rotary, you guys, the, Rotarians, the Rotaractors, the Rotarians, it really are my family. And that's the part I love the most, meeting people.